It's game day in Columbus, Ohio. The number 2 Ohio State Buckeyes host the number 5 American darling Indiana Hoosiers. Can Indiana hang with the big boys today? Is today the day that Ohio State proves to the nation that they're a force to be reckoned with? All that and more on the Buckeye Breakdown Pregame Report.
We've got the whole crew together as we cover Ohio State with our instant analysis from Ohio State.
There's something that doesn't feel right.
Unbelievable effort from him today. Is E.J. Liddell going to crack the first team All Big Ten?
I think he can be the guy. I'm not trying to start a quarterback controversy.
He seems to have the durability. He certainly has the toughness. This is the question on a lot of people's minds here. Welcome to Buckeye Breakdown.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome into another episode of the Buckeye Breakdown podcast. Anthony Moeglin here on another Buckeye game day. And this one of the most anticipated game days that we've had in a very long time, as the Ohio State Buckeyes, currently the number 2 ranked team in the country, host the Indiana Hoosiers, ranked number 5, and really soaring high. They've been the story of college football to this point in their season, and today is frankly their first real test. They got tested in their last game, not last week, but 2 weeks ago against the Michigan Wolverines, which we all have our opinions on what Michigan is this year, but everyone can really agree that they're not very good. But Indiana found themselves in a dogfight a few weeks back against Michigan. But this game today for Indiana is their first real test and their first chance to prove to the nation that they can hang with the big boys. And it's really, really important for them to try and prove that, because with the way that things look in the Big Ten, if Indiana does lose this game today, they're going to be on the outside looking in to make the college football playoff. And on the flip side of things, for Ohio State, you have an opportunity to show the nation that, hey, some of these last couple games may have looked a little sloppy. Maybe that Nebraska game didn't look the way you wanted to. And maybe last week against against Northwestern was a little bit closer than things should have been. But if you come out today and pound the number 5 team in the country, I think that shows to yourself and to the nation that, hey, Ohio State has another gear to get to, and they're getting to it here as we approach the postseason and postseason play. So for this pregame episode, obviously I'm running solo here on our side, not on site today, but we're going to go through 5 key points things to watch for in this game and things for Ohio State to really focus on. The first one is solving the center issue. Obviously, we got the news earlier this week that center Seth Moeglin tore his Achilles in a no-contact situation in practice this week. And beyond, or I guess before getting to the football implications of that injury, it just your heart breaks for the young man. You know, spent 4 years at Alabama and was having an incredible season this year. For all accounts, had worked his way higher up on many folks' draft boards, and his future was looking bright. And this is certainly a setback for the young man. Now, for the Ohio State team, this is a big problem. I've said it all week this week that solving the center issue is going to be a big issue, and it's going to play. It's going to have a huge impact this afternoon. Carson Hinton's going to slide in and take over the reins at the center position, a place he hasn't played since last year. And we remember that it wasn't the best when Hinton was controlling the things behind or at the center position. So how Ohio State looks to solve that today is going to, I think, play a huge factor, because, and it's point number 2, Indiana has one of the best defensive lines in the country. And for Ohio State, it's going to be solving their defensive line. How are you going to keep them off of Will Howard? They get after the quarterback. They rush with relentless pursuit, and they're very, very good against the run. We talked about it earlier in the week. They give up just north of 70 yards per game. That's an incredible number. It's about 20 yards less than Ohio State gives up per game. Now, you look at those percentages, those averages, and you can factor in some of the competition they face, but the point still remains. We're 10 games into the season, and they only give up 70 yards a game on the ground. So for Ohio State, it's going to be figuring out how to contain the Indiana defensive line. Now, when Ohio State's defense is on the field, it's going to be very, very important to stop the momentum of Curtis Rourke. This young man is in his second program, and he had a really good piece earlier in the week. He had a couple different options to go to, but he felt that going to play for Curt Cignetti at Indiana was going to be his best fit. He spent the first part of his career right south of Columbus down at OU and was a really good MAC player. Not expecting to be as good as he is this year. He took over the reins at Indiana and has put together one hell of a season for the Hoosiers. And it's going to be very important for Ohio State to keep him contained because, and this is the fourth point for Ohio, fourth key is control the momentum. Things are going to happen. And this Indiana team is such a momentum-based team. When things are going really, really good, they are a freight train. They're really hard to stop. But when things start going south, they start to snowball a little bit. We saw that in the Michigan game. They were up 17-0. And then Michigan comes out in the second half, kicks a field goal, forces a turnover, and then things start to really snowball for this team. So if they do get hot, it's going to be very important for Ohio State's defense to stop their momentum and do so in convincing fashion. And then point number 5 is handle adversity. Ohio State is a team that has been in adverse situations all throughout the year. You think back to the Oregon game. You think back to the Penn State game. You think back to the Nebraska game. They've had their backs against the wall a number of different times, and they've responded positively each and every one of those. So for Ohio State, it's figuring out the center position, containing the defensive line, killing the Penn State momentum. I guess I skipped my fourth point. Let's get some big plays on offense. I want our offense to have a few big plays, and then lastly, handle adversity and do so. And because it's going to happen today. Indiana's going to make plays. Ohio State's going to make mistakes. But it doesn't matter if the good play before was good or if it was bad. The only thing you can be worried about is the next play. So we appreciate you jumping in with us this morning for our pregame report. We'll be back postgame. I will not be, but the rest of the crew will be. We'll have a postgame show following the action today. But wherever you're watching, if you're watching in Columbus, if you're tailgating right now and you have us pulled up at your tailgate, or if you're at home, or if you're anywhere throughout the country, enjoy the afternoon watching the Buckeyes and the Indiana Hoosiers play. It is the premier matchup of the week. Yes, we all wish it was at 7:30. Instead, it's a big noon kickoff. So what does it matter? When that ball gets teed up and kicked off, it's about the next 60 minutes. So enjoy the action today. Thanks for hanging out with me this morning. And then, like we said, we'll be back for more after the Ohio State Buckeyes and the Indiana Hoosiers clash inside the Horseshoe this afternoon.